Prosecutor Joseph Moreno. And this story is fascinating, right? I wonder what it means when you have a Russian oligarch, and they all have ties to Vladimir Putin, pressuring the then candidate Trump's campaign chairman about how he could essentially repay money.
Sure. So, I mean, Brianna, I've heard people analyze this over the course of the day, and people have picked on the fact that, well, if this was so bad, Paul Manafort would have been charged along with the other things he was charged with. I think that kind of misses the point. I mean, this goes to a fundamental question about Donald Trump's ability to surround himself with people of questionable backgrounds, right? And I'm thinking Paul Manafort, I'm thinking Michael Cohen, I'm thinking Michael Flynn. All these gentlemen had significant baggage, and to think that they were at the heights of the Trump organization, the Trump campaign, and ultimately potentially the Trump White House is a scary thought. So there's this mountain of ever-growing circumstantial evidence that's tying the Trump campaign to the Russian government. So even if Bob Mueller doesn't ultimately prove collusion or coordination, there's all this evidence that gives people this information as to, like, why these connections, why the lack of transparency between the connections between the campaign and the Russian government. And again, this just piles onto what we already know.
Lawyers for the oligarch alleged that it was something like $19 million. I mean, this is not small money, right? This is huge money that we're talking about. And let's take a look at what some of Time reports here. It says, in a series of emails sent that spring and summer, Manafort tried to offer, quote, private briefings about the presidential race to Deripaska, the oligarch, apparently, as one of the emails puts it, to get whole. That's from the Time story. What kind of alarms does that set off to you?
So you have somebody who now has evaded taxes to the tune of several $1 million to the U.S. Treasury. He's committed bank fraud, right? He's an unregistered foreign agent, and now he's in hock for almost $20 million to Russian oligarchs. So this person is going to be desperate to sort of use his influence during the campaign and potentially after the campaign, had he not been sort of unceremoniously booted, to kind of provide access, provide information. Anytime you have someone that is in such desperate straits, particularly to Russians, there's no saying to what he could have done had he had more access.
When Russia or even the U.S. is looking to identify an asset and convince them, even against their will, to do something, one of the things that makes them so vulnerable is owing money. I mean, so this could be something it is seen by officials, by the Mueller investigation, who has been interested in this, as something that would make Manafort interested in playing along to get himself out of trouble.
Sure.
So would he have been a major target? Would that have been the expectation, that this is something that at least could have raised that question for the Mueller investigation?
Sure. I mean, I have no doubt that even though we're learning about this now, Robert Mueller must have known about this a long time ago. I'm sure it is part of the analysis he partook when he charged Paul Manafort, when he sought cooperation. He ultimately did not get that cooperation and was frustrated, obviously, with the lack of truthfulness he got from Paul Manafort. So it's exactly the kinds of things that target individuals who have access to say, you know what, here's how I get out of debt.
Joe Moreno, thank you so much. Happy New Year to you.
Thanks, Brianna.
That is it for me. I'll be back at 5 Eastern in the Situation Room. Newsroom starts right now.